We need to get your car fixed, we need to go racing. The families, our friends, we barbecue, your kids, we're playing, we're doing this, we're having a good time, we're laughing in the pits. And they said, and then every once in a while we jump in the cars and go race.
My thumb got caught in the steering wheel and it shattered my arm, so I've got 2 plates and I think about 14 screws in my right arm holding it all together, all the pieces.
We got a request last spring to follow Tim Berg, driver of the B4 Midwest Modified. We caught up with Tim and his family for a night at the races in Jamestown, North Dakota.
I live in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I work for the North Dakota National Guard. I've done that since 1987. I've been in the military since 1976. I got my son, Jory, is my youngest, 23, does quite a bit with me on the race car. And I got my daughter, Chelsea, who's 25, and she always is in Grand Forks. That's her job, to put me in the car in Grand Forks. You know, my dad started me, I want to say in 1967, and I was 9 or 10 years old. And actually, we did it in San Antonio, Texas, but when we moved to Hawaii, that's where I started racing, was in Hawaii, in go-karts. Did that till probably early 70s, and then we moved to North Dakota, joined the service, and then probably started back up again in that was before my daughter was born, so 26 years ago. We went to like a streetcar, kind of just hit and miss here and there. Went to Bemidji, you know, as a family and just had fun with a bunch of other people. And then we went to a hobby stock. Then we went to super stock. Then we went to late model. And then we went to Midwest Mod. The late model was probably the easiest car to drive. It's the fastest, but the big tires, you don't get thrown around so much, but things happen really quick in that car. I liked all the cars, but once I got a modified and didn't have to mess with front fenders anymore, yeah, they're easier to work on. I'm trying not to hit anybody, and it doesn't always happen, and I don't really want to be hit, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I'm over-aggressive because even though it's fun, we still put too much pressure on ourselves. But when it's a nice big wide track, when there's lots of racing, say Fargo, and you can run side by side, lap after lap, then it's you're kind of a more relaxed driver. You're not so aggressive, and everybody's probably the same way. We all get aggressive, we all get passive. Just depends on how much you want to spend the next morning. I've had 4 for a while and raced at 4. I think I had 10 in go-karts and maybe 4 in go-karts for a long time. And then when I moved to late models, I had 4, and Howard Schill already had 4, so he put a star, I think, on his, and I put a B on mine. And everybody said, was that for Berg? I said, well, no. My mom plays a lot of bingo, and whenever someone would holler B4, she'd say B4 what? So I thought it was kind of funny to put it on there as the B4. Well, we were trying something new for a dry track, and the track wasn't as dry as we figured, so what we put in, hooked the back of the car up good. It kind of pushed over the bank of 1 and 2 in Grand Forks. Rim dug in, or the side of the car dug in, and then the car flipped. I'm told anywhere from 4 to 6 times down the back side of the track. I remember going over saying, oh, this ain't good. And then I remember next thing I remember, I'm in the pits in my street clothes, kind of wondering who put my shoes on. And they said it was me. My daughter wouldn't let it go for the rest of the night, so she hauled me to the emergency room and had a concussion and a bruised up right elbow where it hit the deck. And then Jory and another friend, Zach, the doctor wouldn't let me leave unless they said they'd stay and wake me up every 2 hours for the first night. And then my daughter came over Saturday and babysat me so I wouldn't go out in the garage and work on a car. More so for them than it was for me, because I don't remember it. Someone asked me if I'd be afraid to race again. I said I don't remember the accident, so I'm not afraid of the accident. But they got to watch the whole thing and with no control of what was going to happen. I think when we first built a streetcar, or a second streetcar, was a 71 Chevelle that was half done that we bought, and the door bars were cut off. We just welded them back on. It was black pipe with elbows screwed together, and we'd weld it together, and then we'd use muffler piping in the front. I mean, just what we wear nowadays. And like that flip was 6 times, and yeah, I was knocked out, but the neck brace, the helmets are better, the net on the window. I wasn't sore. Maybe it's because I was knocked out, but I wasn't sore, stiff neck or back or anything like that. So I think the safety part of it's gotten better. The way the car manufacturers are building the car. I have a J car, and after that wreck, I don't think I'll drive a different car than J car, because I know I can survive in a rollover like that. It's a hobby. We got back into it to do it as a family with friends, and to go and race and make sure that we're smiling at the end of the night and having a good time, no matter what the outcome.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Dakota Cat, Norman County Raceway, Superior Builders, Valley Alignment and Repair. Here is the Racing Life's question of the week.
Sometimes a driver's most memorable race isn't a win or a crash. It's their own personal strides they make on the track.
There's a lot of them, and not necessarily wins. It's ones that you do really good in and you feel good about it. Like after the wreck, we went to Fargo and raced. It was a week and a half later. Probably a little passive or whatever in the race. Started deep in the field, 17th, and took a few laps to, is the first corner the pole? Am I going to pass out because I had that hit? My head hit, and then we passed 11 cars, and that alone, to come back to know that Mitch and J Car's staff fixed my car right, and I was good, and we were able to pass cars and do good. That was really a nice, memorable race to be able to come back and do something. Didn't win. We finished 6th, I think, or something like that.
But that's peace of mind, though,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. That that after a big wreck, that first time you hit the throttle and go into the corner, you have your doubts. Am I okay? Is the car okay? And they were all answered with, yeah, they are. So we started passing some cars, so it was good.
Last year when he got the first feature win in the Midwest Mod, and actually this around the time when I was supposed to start taking over driving, and we were kind of working towards that, and he won, and he's just lit up like a little kid, and it's hard to take that away from him, and to see him happy, and to know that we're all out here having fun. And I don't know if I'd be as good a driver as him, but it's just, he's getting old, so it's it's gonna be my time here pretty soon if I don't get knocked out first by him for saying that. But it's stuff like that is just when he picks up a win, and that's probably the most memorable moment. And knowing that I got to help out and be part of that.
I was in the garage working on the car, and the garage is right there by the house. So the kids always were in the garage with me working on the car. So I don't feel it ever stole time from them, and both of them love racing, they're into racing. I mean, they'll go My daughter doesn't get to go as much because she works 2 jobs, full-time student, all that. But she's always at Grand Forks. And she'll come over and work on the car if she has time. Jory comes and works on it, and his buddies, and then, you know, our friends, they help us out constantly. Without the friends and the family, it's almost impossible to do alone.
Some kids have to fight for attention, you know, to get their parents away from their hobbies, but, you know, if I wanted to go play when I was a kid, it was pretty much my dad would drop anything for me and my sister and just kind of take off and really just, you know, spend time with us when we wanted to spend time with them. But then you know, you go to the races every Friday, and of course you're always a fan and you always want your dad to do good. So once I got a little older, it became, you know, what can I do in the garage to help out and get us up front? So, I mean, just spending time with my dad and stuff like that is probably the best part about it, you know. And now we get to hang out with friends, and we got a lot of my buddies into it, and it's just friends and family and all kinds of fun stuff that we get to do every weekend. And, you know, really get to share it with a lot of people, and I like that.
You know, I think the best part, and I just talked to a friend of mine about it at races too. I said, you know, we need to get your car fixed. We need to go racing. The families, our friends, we barbecue, your kids, we're playing, we're doing this, we're having a good time, we're laughing in the pits. And they said, and then every once in a while we jump in the cars and go race. But then we get back out and we laugh and we watch the rest of the races together. So it's the friends that we have made and the friends that I have now that help me, that we get to go and have, just as friends, go out and have fun and do something that we all like in common to do. It's our camping or our fishing, it's just racing. This summer, being in the Guard, I was called up on flood duty 2 times, May 25th through June 8th through Bismarck and Minot, and then back June 22nd through July 8th back up into Bismarck, and the racing just got dropped because there's other things that were more important than that. It's a hobby. We got back into it to do it as a family with friends and to go and race and make sure that we're smiling at the end of the night and having a good time, no matter what the outcome. And that's how we're looking at it. We're just trying to have fun.
The only part I remember the whole accident was just the car turning instantly and hitting the wall, and from that point on, don't remember anything. I was knocked out. I spent the night in the hospital with a concussion and a cracked sternum.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Performance Auto, Randall's Excavating, Nugget Vending, KRJB and KRJM. The Racing Life's Fan Pictures of the Week is sponsored by Superior Builders, specializing in post-frame building.
My name is Jimmy Mars. I drive the 28 MB Custom. I was just wondering if any kids that drive the go-karts have any superstitions before you get in the race car.
Hi, my name is Parker Obregon. My superstition is I put a little guy in my pocket so for good luck.
Brian Bernotas, driver of the 43 Superstock, grew up in the pits around his dad's racing. Like father, like son, Brian's son Dylan is the official mud scraper for Brian's car and sits in on his interview.
Back when I was younger, my dad used to race. I used to race in Weetown, Minnesota, and so as a kid growing up, we were in the stands or down in the pits. You know, and it's kind of been, since it's been in the blood, I guess you can say it's hit hard. So when my dad raced, he had little pit crew shirts made, and I've got my little pit crew shirt inside my vest of my fighter suit. So that's been with me ever since I've started racing. It's always been, and it's over my heart. So I first started out an enduro class. I ran 2 years in enduro, then 3 years in a pure stock. We raced Glendon, Jamestown, and Lisbon. And then in 2004, I made the switch to go to WISSOTA Super Stock, and then have been racing in the Super Stock division now. This is my 7th year. You know, there really is no significance why I have 43 other than that my dad was 43. That's pretty much why I chose to be 43, and that's what it's been, and that's what it'll always be. You know, I used to get really, before I go on the track, I'd really get just full of anxious and adrenaline pumping through me, and now it's so second nature to me that I don't even feel that anymore. It's just I know that I got to get in the car and I know what I got to do. As far as, you know, a certain procedure, a certain way that I like to do things as far as getting into the corner, it changes. I mean, usually if you're out by yourself or you're back a ways, you can try and run the same line, but a lot of times when you're through traffic, you just got to kind of go with the flow. And you know, tonight, you know, the track as tacky as it was, we were pretty tight. You just pretty much had to try and pick the spot or throw the car hard enough to where it could turn out. I've gotten in two pretty wrecks. The one was when I raced pure stocks out at Glendon. I was passing a car on the inside, and he had a wheel go down, and he spun down to the inside, and his front bumper hit my right front wheel, which caused the steering wheel to spin like instantly, and my thumb got caught in the steering wheel and it shattered my arm. So I've got 2 plates and I think about 14 screws in my right arm holding it all together, all the pieces. So that's probably been as far as the most damage has been done. In 2004, when I first got into super stock here at Fargo, we went out, we bought brand new car, brand new motor, brand new everything, and went out and got 15 laps on that car, brand new, and ended up getting turned to the front straight wall at the flag stand and barreled the car down probably about 7 or 8 times into turn 1. The only part I remember the whole accident was just the car turning instantly and hitting the wall, and from that point on, don't remember anything. I was knocked out. I spent the night in the hospital with a concussion and a cracked sternum. There's a lot of time away from the family and doing that. Lucky enough, my wife has been super supportive of my racing and standing by, and it makes it so much easier when you have that.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Bad Cats Design and Print Solutions, Dakota Engine Builders, Red River Kart Club, Midwest Motorsports Weekly.
Hi, my name is Kendra, and my question is, how fast is it like to be?
Hi Kendra, Andy Wagner, driver of the 3X Midwest Mod. I believe your question was supposed to be, what does it feel like to go fast? For me personally, going fast is definitely an adrenaline rush. Gets the blood flowing, heart beating fast. It's not something you can do on the road every day. It's only at the racetrack, and everyone is trying to outperform each other, going faster and faster. So it's definitely a thrill going fast for me personally. Thanks Kendra for the question, and hopefully I see you at the track next summer.
Sometimes a memorable race differs between a driver and a pit crew member. Brian and Mike have their own stories of a particular race that stands out.
Probably the most memorable race is back in 2009 at River Valley Speedway here when it was the old half mile, when I happened to pick up my first win out here at the Speedway. It was an awesome feeling, you know, going from 2004 to that point without a win at Fargo, and to finally get that done, and to win at Fargo at that time, and still, you know, at today, to get wins at the caliber of drivers there is, you got to be doing something right that makes you feel good.
Well, everybody, here he comes. Let's get him out of the race car. Here's your Harvest Classic winner.
A few years ago at the Jamestown Stampede, we wrecked out in the heat, and we had to we wrecked pretty bad in the heat, and we had to start in the B main, and we started dead last. In 10, 12, 15 laps, he came through and won it. I mean, won the B main to transfer into the A main, which out at the Stampede, I mean, there's some really good talent out there, and to come from the back to the front in that short amount of time, I mean, the car was on rails, but we got wrecked in the feature again. So, I mean, in one hand it was good, and the next it was taken away just as fast as it got there. But other than that, yeah. And then I'd say last year too, when we won the inaugural race here for the Red River Valley Speedway, that was pretty good.
I know the one thing for us is always when you go through that winter spell of no racing, no smelling the fumes, it's always that first time you go and you hit that switch to fire that motor up, you breathe the fumes, you know, get it back in your system. I live for racing, and it's in the blood, and it really, I mean, look forward to coming out every time, every night. There's never a night that I'm dreading, or, you know, there's been some nights where you always have kind of a gut feeling that something's not right, or you know, here about 3 weeks ago I had a kind of a feeling, I told the guys I got a feeling with this motor, something's not, and we go down to Huron and ended up blowing a motor down there that night in the feature. So it's just sometimes you got a feeling that something's not going to be right, it's not going to be your night, and sometimes it holds true.
And how'd you get involved in being on Brian's pit crew?
Well, there's actually kind of a story behind it. It was in the middle of winter. I was helping one guy that I wasn't going to help no longer. He was kind of hanging it up, and we ran into each other in the middle of Sears over the winter. And I asked him, "You need help with your car?" He said, "Yeah, you know, if you're not busy, show up, whatever." And so I did. We showed up. I showed up the first day of testing too, and that was at the old half mile. It was, I don't know, 6 years ago. It'd be, yeah, 6 years ago. And I've just been with him ever since. And then kind of also the neat part of the story is later that year in September at the Jamestown Stampede, I met a sister, and we dated for a few years, and we got married 2 years ago, and now we're expecting our first child right before the Stampede.
He's a week old and he's at the races?
10 days ago. When she got out of the hospital, we went right to the Stampede.
Oh my gosh.
I guess probably the biggest sacrifice, you know, for me right now is the family. You know, there's a lot of time away from the family, and doing that. Lucky enough, my wife has been super supportive of my racing and standing by, and it makes it so much easier when you have that. And then the kids, both kids at that age right now, they enjoy coming to the track, which for me, it's a lot easier for me to get in that car knowing that my family does want to be there and I enjoy it. I mean, it's a lot easier.
Got it. Good job.
So Dylan, what's your job out at the racetrack?
I usually change tires and scrape the mud.
You come out every week and help your dad?
Yeah.
Are you going to race someday too?
We'll see what my dad says.
We'll see what your dad says, huh? How old are you?
7.
Now, do you have a sister that's her picture's on the car too?
Yeah.
Your sister? And how old's she?
3.
She's 3, huh? What do you like about coming to the races with your dad?
I like that he gets to race and win sometimes.
That's pretty cool, huh? Is that something that you guys do it's a family sport, and everybody gets together as a family and helps out with the racing? Yeah? What does your sister do?
She sometimes goes in the pits.
Does she? Does she scrape mud too?
She usually
She tries to, right?
yeah.
You're the boss though in the scraping mud, right? You're the boss on that part. You got to show her how to do it sometimes. You know, make sure she gets all of it. Look at how clean that car was now. Look at how dirty it is now.
got a lot of work.
You got a lot of work ahead of you tonight, don't you?
This was a really good one. I worked really hard for it tonight. They were all over me, but I was able to hold them off. So this one's definitely up in the top 5.
I never was into racing. I never enjoyed it, never liked NASCAR, but I was always a junkie for a good adrenaline rush. So does it surprise me that I did it? No.
I like the brats. Sometimes we'll cook hamburgers, but if we're not, Jamestown's got the best hamburgers. Maybe I'll get free ones, no.
Yeah, let's go get some.